Hello guys, and welcome back to my channel. So today we are going into a bit more personal one. So today I'm going to be discussing about my personal fitness journey and how I have coped throughout my training and exactly what kind of things I've done to where I am today. It takes time, no matter what goal that you are aiming for. It takes a long period of time to get to where you want to be. No matter what, it's important to just stay strong throughout this process, as it isn't easy at all. It's not easy for anybody, no matter what, okay? So just remember that. So if this is something that interests you, then feel free to stay. Now, I will be talking a bit about mental health and anxiety throughout this, so if this is some sort of trigger to you, then feel free to watch the next video next week and skip this one. Here I'm going to put a before and after. Now, as you can see from the before, I had little to no muscle whatsoever. As you can see in my legs here, I barely had any muscle, very little, and just generally didn't have a very good relationship with exercise or food and wasn't really consistent. Whereas here is now, years later, and I have worked really hard to where I am right now. It's not been easy, it's not been an easy ride, I can tell you that right now, it's not at all. Also, before we start, how nice are these shorts in this outfit? Well, this is from Primark, and these are my new Bumble, it's called Bumble shop, and they literally have the nicest detailing here. So yeah, I highly recommend. I started when I was around 14-15, and very inconsistent training throughout at a young age as well when I started, so I had in mind at the time better things to do than train. So when you're that kind of age, then you will think, you know, you'd rather go out with your friends or whatever you're doing than train. I began to take part in a lot of cardio based exercise, so mainly running actually. So my dad is a huge runner, cyclist, whatever's out there. So that's how I got into running. Go on short runs to start off with, and kind of did that for a while, but I think I just started to get a bit fed up. I was at that point where I was doing the same route and, you know, it wasn't really that much fun for me at the time. So I decided to mix things up and do some home circuits, which I did, you know, core and mainly lower body, to be quite honest with you. I didn't really train much else, didn't train my upper body, which was a huge mistake at the time, but of course I didn't have the knowledge that I do now. This is when my fitness started to make a real impact in my lifestyle altogether. So throughout school, I was quite sporty when I was younger, so I did hockey and many other sports such as running and athletics and things like that. So I did do that when I was in high school, all the way through, and I was pretty active, didn't really go to the gym much earlier on, but I did start when I was around 16. Now, when I was around 15-16, I had a huge lack of confidence towards my body, the way I felt. I would constantly compare myself to others. Now, I know there are plenty of girls out there that are, you know, thinking the same, but you've really just got to push through it and just love the way that you are, because I'm telling you right now, it's just a waste of energy in comparing yourself, and there's just no point, because, you know, you are you. But this did not stop me from working to my short-term and long-term goals, okay? So this actually made me work even harder, because I gained my confidence, and I just wanted to keep gaining my confidence for the future, like going to college and uni. So this has helped me hugely, both mentally and physically, of course. When I was about 16, I didn't have much muscle to me whatsoever. Now I'll pop up somewhere here. I wasn't very strong physically. All I really did was running, and I was very inconsistent as well, so it wasn't really a routine that I could get myself into. So I decided to make a change to my lifestyle and sit down and really just have a talk with myself and just really push through, try and plan, gain a bit of knowledge on how I was going to train my body and how I wanted to work my body. This is when I decided I wanted to increase my muscle mass in my lower body. That was my main goal, I think, when I was around 16 roughly. I just wanted to become a lot stronger. So yeah, that's pretty much what I did, to be honest. It took me a while to really kind of push through and get confident in the exercises, but tip for anyone, if you are struggling for doing that kind of thing and you have a lack of confidence, there's two ways you can kind of go about it. So one is when a personal trainer or coach comes in handy, as they can teach you all the right techniques and have the right mental state towards training, and then you can build yourself up from there. Or you just kind of gain knowledge yourself and see what works for you, okay? Now the second option is very, very hard to do at a young age. So of course it's hard to drive yourself a bit more, but even if you sit down with a parent, now do not be afraid to gain weight. In order for me to gain muscle, I had to gain weight. So this is probably the hardest kind of thing to do for a lot of girls. It's not easy, it's not a nice easy process that anyone can go through, but it is probably the best thing that I've ever done for my body personally, because it's the way my physique is today, and generally I feel a lot more confidence in myself. So it has done, things mentally and physically for me. Essentially I did a bulk. So basically, a lot of people say when they bulk they can eat whatever they want, which is not the case whatsoever. It's just having bigger portions of what you would usually have. So as long as it's having a well-balanced, bigger portions, not just, eating what you want, junk food, and yeah, you can get whatever you want. It's not the case whatsoever. So I increased the amount of foods I was eating at breakfast, lunch and dinner. Veg, carbs and my proteins on my plate I would increase, or I would have more kind of foods that had a high amount of protein, and just a mix really, but just increasing my consumption, so I was in a calorie surplus. Relating to my nutrition, now I would say my nutrition I would be inconsistent as well. I would be really, really good for a couple of weeks, and then, a couple of weeks down, it would go really, really bad. I would just eat junk food all the time. That would make me feel very bloated, and of course very fatigued, because I wasn't consuming enough of the nutrients that made my body feel energized. I didn't really have much of a background on nutrition back then, so I kind of just ate what I wanted, and then I'd have a week of being, well balanced, and then another week of unhealthy. It wasn't consistent. When I officially turned 16, of course I could officially go to the gym. So I started going to the gym, and that is when it kicked in for me that I wanted to make a huge change to my lifestyle, not only physically, but I really wanted to make a change what I was eating and how I was training my body. And this was where I really, really pushed myself right through out of my comfort zone. What I did was I trained free weights. So I used kettlebells and dumbbells, sometimes barbells, depending on how busy it was, but mainly the kettlebells and the dumbbells, and practiced exercises that I was doing, but I wasn't hugely confident with, so I would gain my confidence in those exercises. And then I would move on to cable machines, so more fixed weights, so cable machines and all the other fixed weight machines. And if it was quiet, I would kind of try them out just to kind of gain a bit more confidence. And obviously if it was busy, then I could go over and I wouldn't feel, self-conscious or anything. So when I was 16, I started training legs twice a week, so I kind of got slowly into it. So I started training twice a week at the gym, using weights for the first time, and use a bit of the treadmill to warm up, and then I would go onto weights and do whatever I would do there. And I saw a huge difference in, you know, 6-7 months, and the way I felt and the way I looked, I was a lot happier. For me, it became more of a way to deal with my stress, and if I was in, you know, a bit of a funk, then I would go to the gym, or even at home if I would make a plan for the gym, so it would kind of keep my mind off any subject that I was, you know, stressing about at the time. I always kind of did the little to-do list. So when I was turned 17 slash going on to 18, so 17 I was in the last year of school, and it was still consistent. It'd be maybe like a week or two I wouldn't go, then I'd go back to being consistent. So it was again pretty much a mix, just purely because, as we all know, S6 was a fairly busy year in school. So there was a lot of social things going on, so I went more to the social things than I did with the gym. So I didn't really balance out, which is probably the most important thing you should be doing. So I found that balance in the end, and I increased the amount of times I went to the gym round about 4 times, I think, roughly. So I worked at a place, and I got a free membership for the gym because I worked there, so it kind of made it a bit easier. I started working out 3 times a week. I started to think that I really needed to increase my strength in my upper body. I had minimal strength. I barely had any strength whatsoever in my shoulders, my back, even my arms. I did not feel strong whatsoever, so I just really wanted to work on that. So that's exactly what I did. So since leaving school and going through to college and university, I would say my training's been fairly consistent before COVID. My training has been fairly consistent before. I went to the gym 4 or 5 times a week, and my gym split was pretty much 2 leg days or 3 leg days and 2 upper bodies, which would include a bit of core as a finisher. So I got pretty much full body, or if I wasn't feeling, you know, 2 upper bodies, if I was a bit sore, I'd take a rest day, and then the next day I would do a full body hit. So not only did I want to build muscle in my glutes and my quads, but I generally wanted to feel stronger everywhere. I wanted to build a bit of muscle, have a bit more strength, and just generally feel better about myself. And that's what I did. It has increased my confidence massively, and it's made me do things that I actually probably wouldn't have done if, you know, I hadn't gone to the gym and got out of my comfort zone. And you'll be surprised that it does actually make you go into situations that you probably wouldn't have done yourself. So just do it, don't be scared. Everyone starts from the bottom. So not only has my training really impacted my physical health, but also my mental health as well. So roughly around last year, I suffered with really bad anxiety. So I mainly relied on going to the gym as a coping mechanism. So this really helped me if I had any panic attacks, or if I was feeling just very groggy, very rubbish. And you know, as much as you just want to lie in bed or whatever you want to do when you feel anxious, you just have to force yourself to go, and once you go, you feel a lot better. That feeling just kind of goes away, and overall just boosts your mood as well. Now, I'm not saying this will work for everyone. It certainly won't. It might help some people, maybe not, but it helped me hugely, so it's always good. And obviously, of course, exercise is known to boost your mood and, you know, prevent anxiety and depression, things like that. So it will kind of help if you do suffer from any of these mental health issues. Now, of course, lockdown came around and we all know that it was very hard to get into a routine, but I think it was important for me to get into one as I was feeling very anxious about the situation. It was kind of the feeling of being like trapped. So I basically sat down and I would have motivational quotes on my phone. I would have a to-do list every day, so it would be a constant routine, so I wasn't just kind of sitting around and, you know, waiting for something to happen or watch something or whatever. I would have a strict routine throughout the day. I'd keep really busy, do a workout and everything like that. So I did train about 3 times throughout lockdown. Don't get me wrong, that was not easy whatsoever. I had to force myself to do it sometimes. But for those of you who did struggle, it is okay to struggle. We were all there. There is nobody I know that, you know, had an easy ride with exercise throughout lockdown. So I would not even stress about that. I think it's important just to make kind of a list of your goals and aspirations in future so you can kind of work towards that. Okay, so I am going to move on to my goals now currently. So my goals are now to go back to the gym, when going back to the gym, whenever that is, to mainly work on my lower body and build a lot more strength up like I had before. Of course, I've maintained strength, but I've also lost a fair amount of strength, so which is totally natural. So I personally just have each goal of some exercises that I want to build back up, so the weights I want to build back up to, and just generally increase my strength within my lower body. I've worked a lot on my upper body, so I'm quite happy with the way I have gained strength in my upper body. But my lower is where I am going to increase the intensity of my training when going back to the gym. So I've been doing a lot of HIIT circuits, which I really have been loving actually, because I didn't really do them that much before. So it's always quite nice to chop and change, but I can't wait to get back to the squat rack or the Smith machine, just something that I used to use all the time. Okay guys, that is me done for today. I hope you enjoyed it. Hopefully I give you some tips, you know, throughout. I thought I'd put a few in just because I don't really like to make a video fully about me. I tend to like to just reflect on what I've learned and how I can help others in the same situation. So if this video helped, then that is brilliant. I hope you enjoyed it and I shall see you next week.